the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week.
This is David Pride, and this is Business Story of the Week.
Fantastic. And that is the man of the hour with the do and the hair and everything. And he's our guest for today. And I am Joshua. I am your host for today. And the question that we have for this episode is, how can social media be a lifeline for communities on the edge of the world, on the fringes of the world? Can social media really be a lifeline for the communities that are at far outreaches that we could never get to? Well, David is the man to answer that question for today. David Pride is the founder and chief relationship officer of Social Impressions, a social media agency based in southern Maine. David has served clients in over 30 different countries and spoke at over 200 different events about the strategic and effective use of social media marketing. Very interesting. David's clients are vast, including founder of the Kennedy Center and recipient of 50 Emmys, George Stevens Jr., to helping multiple Democratic congregational campaigns, both state and national. He has also directed the social media efforts for dozens of startups, personal brands, and influencers both in the USA and as far as equally Nunavut. I think I got that right. A town in the Arctic Circle. When David is not working, of course, he's with clients, busy with time, with nonprofit. He founded Hope for the Arctic. We want to talk about that today, of course, whose mission is to raise awareness of TBR suicide, of the suicide crisis in the Arctic region, preserve Inuit elders' teaching, and spread connection and hope via social media. I think that part right there is the most important part to highlight. David, thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
David, it's fantastic. I mean, this is quite the very interesting topic that we have here today. But I want to, before we truly get into it, I want to get to know more at where the journey started. What was a young David Pride like? Was a young David Pride always believed in the power of connection? Did he always, he's always into the Arctic, so to speak? What would the young David say to the David Pride of today?
Yeah. Well, when I was younger, always was into entrepreneurship. But it's funny you say, was I always into the Arctic? No, that kind of came about because of social media. Believe it or not, the way that came about was when I first got started in social media and started growing my company, and I was out on the speaking circuit. What I used to do to find speaking gigs long ago is I always monitored keywords and key phrases on Twitter. And one of the phrases that I always monitored was looking for a speaker. And one night I was laying in bed and somebody tweeted out looking for a speaker. And so I tweeted back at them and said, "Oh, I see you're looking for a speaker. What are you looking for the person to speak about?" And the lady tweeted back at me and she said, "We're looking for a speaker to come and speak at our business conference about social media." And so I tweeted back and said, "Well, that's what I happen to do." And she said, "Okay." And I said, "Well, why don't I email you?" So she gave me her email. And so we went off of Twitter to email. And I emailed her. And then she said, "Well, there's something you should know about us. Our conference is in Iqaluit, Nunavut." Right. And I'm like, "What the heck is that?" And she's like, "We're a town that's just below the Arctic Circle. And we just got access to high-speed internet." And this is about 12 years ago. And she's like, "We're looking to hold a business conference to bring in somebody to talk about how to use social media effectively for Inuit business owners and teach them about Facebook and social media.
Wow.
And we want somebody to come here, and you're the only person who responded to the tweet. Would you be interested?" And I'm like, "Hold on, I'm the only person who responded?" Like, every social media guy claims that he monitors Twitter for speaking gigs, can't believe what are the odds? Funny enough, I had a gig that same week. My other speaking gig was in Las Vegas, Nevada. And so I had to fly from Maine to Las Vegas, Nevada and speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
Mm-hmm.
flew from Nevada all the way to Iqaluit, Nunavut
Wow.
to go up there and speak. And it was then that I arrived, and it was the only gig I'd ever done before where I spoke, and everybody in the crowd, or a large portion of the crowd, was wearing sealskin clothing, which I'd never seen before. And I'd never known anything about Arctic culture, or really anything about Inuit culture, or anything at all.
Yes.
And that was then when I began to learn about the suicide crisis in the Arctic
Oh my
region, and
goodness. Oh
some of
my
the other
goodness.
things that I'm sure we'll talk about later. So,
And David,
yeah.
it's a story. It's of course it's an interesting topic as well, because I mean you kind of landed on this by chance as well. It's like, wow, you got into the Arctic, the Nunavut, the town, the Arctic Circle, and you just learned that there was an incredible, like a really great opportunity to help the people there, especially learning about the suicide crisis. But you're trying to make a change through social media, and of course that's what you're doing with social impressions today. Talk to us a little bit about that, because you're running a social media agency that focuses on the impact of how social media can help communities, or how can it be more profitable or beneficial to the lives of people, especially in the outer fringes. But regardless of if it were to help people out there, people out in the communities that are far-flung communities, how can social media be beneficial to individuals now, regardless of what community they are in, even modern individuals who are in this smack in the center of civilization? How do you run social impressions to create this connection with social media for it to benefit our lives more and create a more overall better well-being?
Yeah. Yeah. I think just like I believed when I started my company almost 13 years ago,
Wow.
social media provides individuals an opportunity and
Hmm.
brands an opportunity to make people
Hmm.
feel special. And
Yes.
despite how toxic it can become, and especially
Hmm.
over the past several years, like how crazy things have
Worse.
become and misinformation and
Hmm.
everything else, there's
Hmm.
still the opportunity for individuals to make other individuals feel special and recognized. And you can recognize people, whether if you're a brand, if that's by, doing traditional brand things, by
Yes.
sales and coupons and everything else, or if you're a nonprofit and you're recognizing somebody by simply acknowledging their pain. And,
Yes, of course.
when we're doing work and as I've been educating myself about the pain in the Arctic,
Yes.
and educating myself about the things that Inuit have been put through via colonization and land claims and the various things that have happened as Inuit had their land taken from them, and the various things that the government has done throughout the northern part of the planet. Whether it be through the residential schooling systems that Inuit were forced into, in the 1940s and 50s and 60s and 70s, and ripped away from their families. I'm a white guy. I have no born knowledge of their pain. And so, like,
Right.
part of my responsibility of a guy who runs a social media platform and page that reaches thousands of people across the north, of which I have no innate knowledge of, is to be
Hmm.
super, super sensitive and careful that I don't make believe I can actually understand their pain,
Yes.
but I can
Absolutely.
empathize with
Hmm.
loss, and I can educate myself and do my best to be very, very sensitive and recognize and at least help them feel a little less alone. And that's
Of
the goal of
course.
Hope for the Arctic. Like, I can't say that, hey, I know what it's like to have a parent who was ripped from their parents' arms at 8 years
Hmm.
old and put into a
Hmm.
residential school until they were 17, and
Hmm.
were, abused, and all these things that happen to Inuit individuals in the Arctic region. I can't make that claim, but
Yes.
I can recognize that pain that exists up there that so many white
Yes.
people like myself don't
Hmm.
recognize and haven't
Yes.
recognized. And that
Hmm.
generational trauma that's been passed down throughout the Arctic because of that pain that's never been recognized. Social media provides us an opportunity to say, hey, this is a topic we need to talk about, and talk about responsibly, and bring to the surface. And maybe just that opportunity to help people recognize some of those things and bring it to the surface can help fight this problem of people taking their own lives.
I love that. I mean, of course, there's always a mission. There's always a mission to be done. There's always people to help, communities to reach out to. And I love that you said that social media makes people feel special. It makes,
Right.
because I think it gives people a spotlight. And
Right.
I mean, it could be used for vanity. It could be used different ways. It could be used for make us feel more special than anything else in the world, and we feel like the whole world is looking at us. But I feel like that spotlight can be used for other meaningful, endeavors. And like you said, Hope for the Arctic is a fantastic mission, an incredible, remarkable mission that you are undertaking right now. David, how does that compare? How does running a social media compare to leading a nonprofit that tackles deep social issues? It must be, but at the same time, because of your mission with social impressions, it makes it so similar as well. How do you manage that basically?
Yeah. So it's different in many ways. So one thing that's different is you're running a for-profit company. I'm
Hmm.
in charge. So like I can come
Yes.
up with a new idea and a new initiative for social impressions, and it's
Hmm.
my idea and we go do it. As a
Yes.
nonprofit, nobody's technically in charge. Like there is no one owner. There's a board of directors, and so
Hmm.
like if I have a new idea, then there's channels that we go through to bring it to the board so that the
Right.
board will approve, and then we'll move
Hmm.
forward with it. And that's on purpose because the board members are there to help keep things on track and keep the vision pure and keep
Yes.
as an entrepreneur, I have no lack of ideas. Like I have popcorn all the time in my brain.
Of course.
But and so that was a big transition to learn, from for profit to nonprofit. Except with for profit, you can just run with an idea as fast as you want, and it's kind of like when I
Of course.
started my company so long ago, it was like it was the Mark Zuckerberg theory of move fast and break things, and fail fast and fail
Yes, of
cheap,
course.
and just like go go
Hmm.
go. Whereas
Hmm.
in the nonprofit world, I spoke in Iqaluit, roughly 10 years ago, and we really didn't start doing any official work until 7 years after that, because I
Wow.
spent all that time after that learning about the
Hmm.
culture, reading books.
Wow.
I went to Washington, D.C. to meet with congressmen and senators individually. I made more relationships across the Arctic individually so that I wasn't just
Fantastic.
this, I think we've all learned about the white missionary that goes to Africa and says, "Hey, I'm going to save everybody in Africa," and chucks Bibles from the sky, and then everybody
Hmm.
hates him. That's my
Hmm.
greatest fear, is the white guy who, like,
Hmm.
I'm the white dude who makes believe I understand Inuit culture. I don't. Like I can do my best to get book knowledge of it and surround myself with friends who are have that culture and are part of the culture, but
Hmm.
I don't ever want to make believe that I have any right
Right.
to claim that culture. Like I don't
Of
want to
course.
be just someone else who does more appropriation of their culture or colonization of what they have. But what I do want is to help them feel less alone and help people
That's it.
know that they're recognized. Because when I spoke up there, after I spoke, there were several days where I had an opportunity to get to meet more people. And one of the common things I heard from people was when I would ask them, I would say to people, I have a feeling that when I'm out speaking on the speaking circuit, I'm going to talk about this visit up here. If there's something that I
Yes.
could tell people about this area, what is it you want me to tell people?
Uh-huh.
And the majority of people told me, we just want people to know we exist up here.
That's it. Wow.
That's what most
Wow.
people told me. It
That's
wasn't
it.
like come up here and eat our wonderful seafood or come and see the polar bear or some other cliche thing. It was, we just want people to know we exist up here. And what do we
Wow.
do with social media, right? We help people know
Yes.
that brands exist. We help people know that celebrities exist. We help people know that politicians exist. And so in my brain, when I got home and my heart felt so broken for this entire region of the planet, I felt like, man, I'm spending all this time helping people get rich for companies. Why can't I help people feel rich by helping them? Like all these people said to me, we just want people to know we exist. Well, that's something
Exactly.
I can
Wow.
actually help with. That's what I do. Like,
Beautiful.
you're telling me that for a reason, because that's something I can do, but I want to do it responsibly. I don't want to be that guy who tries to help by screwing it up.
Of course.
Like, oh, here I am. Because I'm white, I think I innately know how to help. Like that's like the white curse, like, look at
Mhm.
me, I'm white man, here I am, let me do everything right. In actuality, I do everything wrong and tell you to
Mhm.
change your religion, change your faith, talk like me, walk like me, and dress like me, which, by the
Mhm.
way, is what every other helping government and religious organization has done to Inuit culture in the past, with
Wow.
colonization to Nunavut and to Canadian territories and to
Mhm.
Greenland with and these land claims. And so that is my greatest fear, is that I'm ever viewed that way. And so I took many years learning and studying before we took any action, so that I didn't
Wow.
have to. So, and I still fear it, but it was very purposeful how long the runway was before anything happened. So.
Wow. I mean, it's quite the revelation as well. Of course, exactly the line that you said there. We just want people to know that we exist. And if you really go around and ask people, Inuit culture, what do you know about Inuit culture? No one knows about Inuit culture. They probably
Exactly.
heard of the Inuit. They know that they're the natives. They probably didn't know that they're part of the Arctic. I honestly didn't know there were any Inuits in the Arctic. I did not know. I thought they were somewhere else as part of the U.S. as well. I had no idea, right? So
Hmm.
these things are things that allow us to have more. I feel like when we know a little bit more about them, we're able to be more emphatic about them, and we're able to be
Yeah.
more to put ourselves in their shoes, because literally if we just know that they exist, then we'll be able to start thinking, wow, hey, what's their life like? What would I
Yeah.
do if I were in their shoes? How would I, how what was their culture like? And I think that's an enriching kind of experience for everyone to even start thinking about, because if anything, why not learn more about these culture through social media? Of course, again, David,
Yeah.
you are running socialimpressions.com. That is a website. You are, heading all these campaigns all over the world, and you're using social media to bring more awareness into the Arctic as well. But David, talk to us about what you say is the current state of social media. Of course, again, we talked a little bit about that. There's a lot of disinformation out there. Social media could very well be, in my opinion, is, it's always going to be toxic. But how can we filter that? How what advice would you give to people who are, social media is going to be part of our lives, whether we like it or not. It's inevitable. It's going to be part of a fabric of our society. And I feel like it's inevitable to also be toxic. But if there's toxicity, then there's also opportunity for good. How can we focus more on that good side of social media? And what advice would you say to our audience listeners today? Focus on that side a little bit more.
Yeah. I think social media, there's two sides of it. There's the business side and the individual user side.
Please,
Um,
please.
and so on the business side, I think for the business side and the state of like the business social media world, I feel, businesses need to keep in mind the importance of authenticity more than ever, especially as we see AI becoming more and more popular. And AI, Peter Shankman, who is a brilliant marketer, who, if any of your listeners haven't read any of his stuff or don't follow him, he's just a brilliant marketer. And I attended one of his masterminds once in Boston. And he said this thing that I'd never forgotten. It was right when I started my business. And he said, be one level above sucking. And what he
Hmm.
meant by that is that the average marketer is lazy, right? The average marketer is like, I just need to get through the day. I just need to
Mhm.
sell this rock. I just need to sell these socks. And when you introduce something like AI,
Mhm.
now the average lazy person's like, oh, you mean I don't even need to write my social media statuses anymore? I can hop on ChatGPT and be like, write a Facebook status about my coffee. And then it's like, let's
Uh-huh.
delve into the fortuitous world of coffee and explore and discover how delicious this coffee tastes. And
Uh-huh.
anybody who uses AI all of a sudden reads these 18 different words that we all read all the time, like, oh, some lazy
Mhm.
dingleberry, used ChatGPT to write this stupid status, right? Oh, let's
Precisely.
explore it one more time. Can't we discover something amazing? And so, and everybody gets lazier and dumber, essentially, as
Mhm.
marketers. Now,
Yes.
what businesses have an opportunity to do instead is view these tools as these great assistants, and as these great partners to work with,
Yes.
but don't get
Yes.
lazy because of them. Because what's going to happen is
Yes.
those marketers who get lazy Like they're going to be these branches that are going to get trimmed from the tree, in the coming years, right? Because young people are coming up who are going to know how to use AI appropriately. The older guys my age and older who are like, oh, thank God, finally I don't have to think anymore. A robot can do it for me. They're going to get canned because they're going to be too lazy to think for themselves anymore because of AI made their life just like super, super simple. And so, businesses need to keep an eye on authenticity and identify their voice that makes them stand out. Individuals, and when it comes to toxicity and bullying and some of the negative stuff out there that's so harmful, I think people need to take some agency over the path they're choosing with their social media, meaning shutting off your comments. If you're getting bullied, like take some ownership over your own path, it's okay to not let people comment on your stuff. If you're getting bullied, if you're a young person and you're getting treated like trash, there's no reason why you need to let people continue to speak into your life who've already proven that they're mean individuals. Maya Angelou says, when you believe somebody, when they tell you who they are, the first time, Donald Trump, I'm sorry, but believe people when they tell you who they are. Right? Like you don't give them another chance. If somebody's mean to you online and they say something horrible and diminishing to you,
of course,
you don't need to give them another opportunity to come back and comment on your stuff over and over and over again and keep tearing you down. There's no value in that. That engagement, maybe that makes your picture appear to more people on Instagram, because it's not worth it to you mentally, right? Like
that's it.
So you need to take some ownership over your own path, because unfortunately right now there's not enough tools built into the system to protect people, right?
Yes.
And so we need to feel like, okay, it's all right for me to block people, for me to shut off comments, for me to take a break. And, hey, there's something new coming out, but I already feel overwhelmed with all the things I'm participating in. Maybe I don't need to take part in that social network. People call me all the time and clients call me all the time. Hey, there's this new thing. Do I need to be on Threads? Do I need to be on this? Do I need to be on that? And I'm always asking people, if you're a business, where's your audience? Is your audience there? Or is it just because they're talking about it on the media? Because if your audience isn't there, then it doesn't matter. And if you're a business, are you going to be making money there? Or are you just going to be getting views there? Because nothing matters if you're not making money if you're a business. That's what it comes down to. Like the only thing that pays your employees is money. I've never been able to buy a pizza by showing the dude how many likes I got on a picture of my Pomeranian. And so you have to make money. And businesses sometimes get, off track because they get attracted, the glitz and glamour of the potentiality of going viral, when there's nothing more depressing than being super popular online but not making any money. That's a miserable situation. I would rather not be known online and be wealthy than be super known online but not making any money. And I know a lot of people on TikTok that have literally millions of followers that are not making any money. And that is a very depressing situation to find yourself in. And so take some ownership of your profiles, and and realize not everybody gets a voice. Your profile is your neighborhood, and so if there's people bullying you, you don't need to let them keep speaking into your life. And these keyboard warriors out there today, saying stuff they'd never say to your face. I think people, when it gets too hard to handle and that weight of these comments, when people pile on to people and it never stops, what's really important is when you're the victim of that, you stop trying to deal with it yourself. You can't just keep saying, oh, I'm tough enough. This is really hurting my feelings and I'm having all these bad feelings. I'm going to keep trying to carry this on you need to get help. You need to talk with your parent. You need to talk with a counselor. You need to get a therapist.
Absolutely.
You're not tough to think that you can deal with depression on your own. That doesn't make you tough. That actually makes you weak. You need to have other people in your life. And if it's a therapist, then it's a therapist or a mentor or something. But trying to carry the weight of being bullied and treated poorly, whether it's by your family or people you don't know, on your own, does not make you a good business person. It does not make you a leader. It does not make you healthy. It makes you weak, and it puts you in a dangerous position. And so you need to have outside people in your life you can go to and open up your heart and heal and have time away so you can continue becoming who you're meant to become.
I love that. I love that, David. It's just you gave us the business side of it, but you also gave us the individual side of it. It almost feels like we're letting social media control us, right? It's
Right.
so easy to get lost there, and we all know that it hacks our brain. It hacks our. It's so effective at hacking our monkey brain. That's why we doom scroll. Everyone doom scrolls, but we have to be more aware of how much control we are giving up to social media because we could. I mean, like you said the algorithm literally gives you hate speech because it just gets more engagement, and we feel like we are equipped to take on all of that, but the truth is we're not really capable. We're not Our capacity for hate speech, our capacity for all this stressful material that we're constantly feeding ourselves, it is going to get to us at the end of the day. So I love that
Right.
you taught us that you can control it, you can filter it. It is actually entirely upon you to choose what content or what type of messages that you are trying to consume on a daily basis. And of course, nothing is more we should take more careful more than anything, especially with social media today. And of course, David, the website is socialimpressions.com. That is the
Oh,
agency of David.
.net.
Dot net.
.net.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
socialimpressions.net. Of course,
Yep.
socialimpressions.net. You can learn more about David and everything that they do out there. Of course, they also have one-on-one consultants. You get those social media audits. Go check that out. And of course, we will not be complete without throwing out there the mission, the very important mission that we talked about throughout the show. Hopeforthearctic.com. You can learn more about that as well. David, how can we help? Where else can we find you? And basically, where else can we connect with you? We want to learn more.
Yeah, so you can connect me on LinkedIn. I'm very easy to find there. I'm David A. Pride on all the social networks. So David
Mhm.
A. Pride, socialimpressions.net. Anybody can reach out to me there also, or through Hope for the Arctic. You can find me there and shoot me an email. I'm happy to help if anybody needs me. And then also behind me there, if you can see that photo right there, that guy right there, that's Ernie Etok. He's up in
Whoa,
Arviat,
whoa,
Nunavut. And
whoa.
so, and he's standing on a patch of ice and he's
Uh-huh.
wearing all caribou skin clothing. And he's right there. He's waiting for a seal to pop up so he can bring home dinner to his family. But he's a friend of mine up there in Arviat, Nunavut, who lost both his hands to frostbite. And so he actually has hooks for hands. You can read his whole story on hopeforthearctic.com and how he survived. And he still hunts for his family's food today. And you can read his whole survival story on our website, hopeforthearctic.com. So
What
he's an
a
amazing,
story!
amazing guy
Wow,
up there.
all that. What a story! I invite all. I'm already hooked. I want to know learn more about that story. Audience and listeners out there, to ladies and gentlemen, go check out that story. Go check out hopeforthearctic.com. Again, is the website. David, thank you for coming on the show. It's been very, very insightful. I feel like you gave us both sides of social media today. Um, Again, business side and also the human part of it. And I love that you are continuing that mission over at the Arctic. David, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
To all our audience and listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed this one. Go check out David, socialimpressions.net, hopeforthearctic.com, and we will see you on the next one. Bye bye.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.